Noob School. All right, welcome back to Noob School, episode 153. I'm here with a special friend, like third grade, Michael Pace. Michael, I guess everyone probably knows this, but Michael was the first guest on the podcast.
I was.
You're number one.
Number one, at least in terms of that.
Number one. Well, I went back and looked at parts of it, and this is how it went. Michael, I was reading.
Were you a noob?
I was a definite noob. I was reading. My ponytail was just like, it looked like a pigtail. I mean, it wasn't long. I think I was scared to mess up, I didn't know what I was doing. You did fine.
Well, you've got a lot of help now that can cut and splice and make up. And
That's true. Yeah, but that was, how long ago was it? Was it 3 years, 4 years?
I would say at least 3 years ago.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Number one.
A lot of water under the bridge since then.
Yeah. So Michael and I do go way back. We went to the same high school. He's younger than me, obviously, so we didn't know each other really in high school. But I knew his dad, who was the football coach, and we knew a lot of the same people. But that's kind of how it started. And then you went to Wofford and played baseball. Mm-hmm. And weren't you a coach there?
I coached for a year after I graduated. Yeah.
And then how did we find each other?
I was at a bachelor's party dinner with Dustin Caudill, and he told me he was starting with a software company in Greenville and working for a guy named John Sterling. I'm like, well, I know John Sterling.
Him?
They're not paying me but about $350 a month to be a baseball coach at Wofford.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do something different. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to you through that after that.
Yeah. Well, it was I'll say this, not to blow up your ego too much, but I tell the companies that I consult with now that you need to build an avatar of what you're looking for that would build your perfect sales team. What does it look like? And amazingly, most people don't have it. Most people treat every interview as if, yes or no, what about maybe this person might work out, versus like, in your case, I wanted them from around here, right? I wanted to have some local connection. Also makes it less likely you're going to leave and move to Oklahoma City, right? Because that happens all the time. People work for you for 3 years, say, well, I'm going back home, Well, darn, that's no good. Athlete, very important for me anyway, for the role we had. Competitive, work on a team, that kind of thing. I liked a few schools, Wofford, Clemson, Furman, Citadel. I wanted to create almost a fraternity kind of situation of those people, and sorority. And then, I would say we definitely give people a test, and the results of the test, we want them to be in line with kind of what other good salespeople look like test-wise. Mm-hmm. And you know what the last thing is? It's the beer test. Like, we want to go have a beer with this person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And if the answer's no, you don't want them.
Right. Yeah.
But because people make that mistake all the time. You're like, well, I don't have to like him. No. Your customer's not going to want to have a beer with him either. So you passed all those tests.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
and the
good.
weird thing is, and Larry, our CEO, he noticed it quickly, that Michael did not know how to sell at this point, right? When you had not had that experience.
Oh yeah, my mom even said, "What are you thinking?" She said, "You don't like to talk a whole lot."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, give it a shot."
But it's interesting. People will hire someone because they've sold before. and not hire them when you were the perfect avatar for what we looked for. And then we worked on selling, right? We trained and we practiced and
worked on it in the way that you needed it.
Yeah.
To
needed
work,
it.
that we needed it to work, right?
Yeah.
And you also later probably went down a path and hired somebody that had sold before, an Oracle, or that type, that just didn't quite work out.
Yes, exactly.
Because it didn't fit the profile.
Yeah, that gentleman had played football, big time football school. Good looking dude. I thought I wanted to have a beer with him. But because he had learned how to sell for a $1 billion software company, and we were maybe a $50 million software, they weren't selling the same things.
And also you learn that there's different support mechanisms that maybe they had in place in those companies that we didn't at the time.
Right. Lots of help.
Yeah, here's your lead on a platter.
And
Or
here's your plane ticket. 1A. Yeah, interesting. So that's how Michael and I met, and Michael was great at learning how to sell. Didn't take him long at all. He became the best salesperson for a long time until he got promoted. Right? You got promoted to sales manager, right?
Yeah, whatever title you wanted to give yourself back then, but yeah, it was.
We were kind of the Montessori business school. It's kind of do whatever you want.
I didn't manage anyone until
Mexico.
Until Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was, Latin America guy.
So Michael, I think, was 24 or something. He'd been with us for a couple years, done very well. And my partner says, things are going well in Europe. Why the hell aren't we in Mexico? I'm like, well, we could go to Mexico. He goes, who do we have that could? I'm like, Michael Pace. Michael Pace. I remember on his resume it said he spoke Spanish. And so I went and told Michael that we had a new assignment for him, and he's like, but why me? Why me? I'm like, well, you speak Spanish. He goes, I just said that on the resume. I took like one class.
No, I did have a degree.
You did?
I did have a degree.
You had a minor?
No, a double major, business econ and Spanish.
And Spanish.
I just never had lived abroad where I think that's really where the fluency comes from. But I didn't lie, just wasn't as fluent.
Why did you want to major in Spanish in the first place? I can't remember.
Well, at a liberal arts school, you got to have a bunch of electives, and I just said, well, and I had come in and I'd placed high enough in these early placement tests that they do, and in the Spanish world, and so I said, I'll just put it towards something I might use versus taking art history and whatever else.
Well, that's smart. That's smart.
And so so that's why I pursued it. Plus, they really wanted Spanish majors, so it helped bolster a little GPA too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Huh.
And it worked out. It got me different avenues, opportunities, met people I would have never met before.
Well, your whole career from that point forward has included Latin America, right?
Mm-hmm. Only one little period of time when I handled Asia Pacific and not Latin America, but that didn't last for very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been interesting how, and I tell people this all the time, particularly when they're young, they can make a move, they can make a decision to do something, and it will change the direction of the rest of their life. Because now when you get hired you've worked for, obviously, DataStream, you killed it, but then Pitney Bowes Software and Avante and now Smart Sites, they all have that Latin America piece, right?
Yeah. And I think you make some big decisions that allow you and afford you other opportunities that some people don't make or elect not to make because of other reasons or various reasons. But sometimes they're picked for you, and you go and you take advantage of them, or and then do the best you can with it.
Well, I did think it would be good for you. It wasn't all about me, Michael. I thought it would be good for you, but I didn't think past our conversation. I think about your conversation with Devin, and you just been married or just about to get married?
Yeah, I was on the airplane to Mexico, and she was back home packing up the house, selling both cars, quitting her job on our first wedding anniversary.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Well,
So, it worked out. She
Yeah.
enjoyed it. She hated the first 6 months, and then wasn't ready to leave, and it all worked out.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad it worked out. So you had a great career at DataStream, inside sales. You ran the Mexico office, or established the Mexico office. You ran Latin America, and then you found us. We asked for our managers around the world to find acquisition targets for us. Remember, we were trying to buy regional competitors around the world so we could then claim legitimately to be a global leader. And you found Carlos in Argentina.
Yep, Computech. Quite honestly, they were kicking our tails in the southern part of Latin America because that was their stronghold there out of Buenos Aires. And so I sent him a note just seeing if there was a potential to partner. And he's like, sure, there is. And I was like, well, what if I come and visit? And so we went and visited, and the discussion around partnership changed in terms of more of an acquisition. And so, yeah, it really happened, I would say, in less than 6 to 8 month time period. It didn't take a lot of time once there was the interest to bring the companies together.
Yeah. Well, what a remarkable man.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I love him. I go down there once a year still and always see him and do stuff with him. And he's done so well.
Oh, yeah.
Since selling the company.
He was not well, I'm sure he has a relationship with the current president, but the previous president of Argentina had appointed him to a certain role within the organization, within the administration around technology and education.
Yeah.
And that was just a springboard for him to do so many things.
Yeah. He told me that whenever the president was meeting with some technical person from around the world, he'd bring Carlos in. Plus the president couldn't speak English very well. I said, well, gosh, that had to be some pretty big deals coming in. He goes, yes, the Bill Gates, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, yes. I mean, what? He could pull it off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. He was one of the smartest men I ever knew.
Yeah.
I ever have known.
Well, we need to get you back down there. You go check it out.
I do. And I'll take Devin this time because I kept telling her the next time.
She's never been?
She hasn't been, no.
Well, we'll have to work that out.
We'll do that.
We'll have to work that out. I should arrange that for you to just pay back. So you went through the Latin America thing, and then we eventually brought you back. And maybe after we bought that company, I don't remember why you came back to Greenville.
Well, we had some leadership changes. Jose Garcia came in, and there were just different needs and different opportunities.
Okay.
And so came back to the U.S., really started managing more of the overall inside sales organization, where I guess we had 4 or 5 regional managers, RVPs, whatever they called them at the time.
Yeah.
And they each had teams. And so did that for a while.
Well, I remember that portion of it. We had, let's just say, 40 inside sales reps, and each one of them had a manager, which is kind of a normal ratio, 10 to 1.
8 to 10. Yeah.
And then I think we were trying to make our numbers look better.
Well, I think you were propping it up for sale.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. We're trying to improve. Yeah, so we were trying to make our numbers look better because we were trying to sell a company, and so we got all those managers to take a seat, to take a number, and then you managed all of them
Yeah.
with no help.
Yeah, it was.
It's 40 people.
But they were seasoned. They were good. Not only good reps, good people, an occasional issue here or there, but they were.
Yeah.
It was easy.
They
relatively speaking.
learned, make your number.
Yes.
Don't cause too much trouble.
That's right.
That's all we're looking for here. That's the thing. Some salespeople don't understand. The manager's not looking for a lot of conversation. We'll help you if you need it, but we'd rather show you how to do it. You just do it. Just here, I got my number.
Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
It's not just that. It's all the meetings that you have. Anytime you're doing something like that, you're meeting with a rep. It's time that they're not either on the phone, sending emails, prospecting, or closing deals, and you have to be conscious of that.
Right.
And but yeah, preference is show them the way, show them their number, their territory, and let them go be successful.
Yeah.
And coach them, but clear the
Yeah.
other hurdles out of their way.
So we sold the company in 2006, and you'd been there 15 years at that point?
I'd been there 14 years. Yeah.
And you stayed.
I did.
You stayed. What happened? What was your role like then?
Initially, it was just focused on continuing to sell the EAM solution. And my perspective was they have all these other products that we can just fold right into this model and just sell the heck out of them. But they didn't. They understood the channel model. They didn't understand the inside sales model. And so they let us just do our own thing for a period of time. And then they started looking, it's like, well, this is making us a good bit of money and not costing us that much money. Maybe we can do more here.
Yeah.
And so we hired a guy, Lane Monson, who had done it for Oracle. He had built the inside sales team. And so we had whittled them down after the acquisition to about 20 people. And we grew. Lane came in, expanded the model we had across more solutions, and where we had almost 200 inside sales people.
What?
Yeah. And that combined with some lead gen folks, but for the most part, quota carrying sales folks. And those were around the world, and we had leaders for each region. So we built that up.
So when you had that, how many managers did you have managing those people?
It was about this. That was the ratio, about 8 to 10 to 1.
So 200 people.
So 10 to 12 managers.
Okay. And then with that many people, like you can't just wander around and ask, Steve and Donahue what your number is. You got to have these metrics and stuff. How did you do that? How did you manage that large of a group? I've never managed something that big.
Well, being a company that large, we had a lot of operations folks. And so you set the metrics for the team. And they varied a little bit based on the products they were selling, but you set the daily calls, the number of emails, and then we had operations folks that could collect that information and roll it up for us so that we could have a view on, I won't say it was a daily view back then. Me as a leader of the North America team, I might, but we wouldn't have a global view at that point. And you typically looked at that on a monthly basis anyway. But you just had some resources. Now, fast forward to today, you've got Salesforce, you've got the dashboards, logs and calls are logged and emailed, et cetera. So you can quickly, at any minute, see who's making what, how many calls they're making, et cetera.
Yeah. And so, for the group, Michael has managed large teams in Latin America for DataStream, in America, in the Pacific Rim, and then for these other companies, including today for Smart Sites, but for Avanti and for Pitney Bowes. And so my question is, you've done this same type of job. What would you say the key 4 or 5 metrics are you need to watch to have a successful technology sales team?
So metrics specifically meaning the numbers, then it would be the components of the daily activities.
Okay.
And that is how many calls you're making, how many emails you're sending, how many demos were done in a given day or scheduled to be done. How much did you sell that given day? Because typically it's a transactional oriented business in terms of deal sizes, and if you're not doing it consistent daily, it's going to be very difficult to make up the month on the last 3 days of the month. Whereas if it's some larger deals and a little lumpier, you can make it up in off of one deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's software technology sales is a little bit weird because particularly with the larger deals, like you said, you can have one really good lead come in, do an okay job, sell something really big, and everyone thinks you're great. And greatness really does come with almost like being a football coach. Like Harry, with just what are you doing every day, and we'll let the chips fall as they may. And over time, the person who does the activities is going to be successful, but in the short term,
Yeah, and the one thing I didn't mention was the pipeline. How many deals did you add to the pipeline?
Right.
That'd be another important one. And just recently, you joined my sales team in Austin. We're in our sales meeting, and and I can't say I took the credit for it. Actually, I played the video of Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah.
And he talks about keeping the main thing, the eye on the prize, a lot of noise going on around you, whatever it is you're doing. And one of the things he talked about was the goals of how to get to the prize. Well, you set the goals, but he had his team write them down and then tear up those goals and then have them write down what do you have to do to get to those goals daily.
Right.
And focus on those things.
Right.
And then back to your point, the daily activities will lead, and that process will lead to the successes that you're looking to get to.
Yeah. I mean, right. Everybody wants $1 million. How do you get it?
Yeah.
What do you have to do? And are you willing to do it?
Well, and you ingrained that early with us, and I. You clearly were learning along the way as well. You didn't know exactly to make 32 contacts a day. It became pretty factual later on because you had enough people doing it and you knew you had data to back it up. But, call X number of 2s, 3s, and 4s, and therefore you're moving deals through the pipeline. That at the time, all I knew was that's what I needed to do. And then the deals started popping out of the funnel.
Yeah. Well, I've had my share of inside sales management, and I just noticed there's some people that are just reluctant to have the conversations with the prospects. They want to do more homework, or it's not a good time now. They couldn't reach them. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, how many times has a rep said, "I don't have an update. I can't reach the guy," and I'm like, "What's his number? Watch this." 2 seconds later, they're on the phone.
Yeah.
But just doing a better job recruiting people who have more proclivity to want to make phone calls. That's one thing. But then kind of forcing the main thing being you've got to have conversations with people every day. You don't have to trick them all into buying software. Just have a conversation.
Yeah.
See who wants it and who doesn't. It's the key.
Well, that's, you want to have the conversations, but you need to get to the people that have the money.
True.
And so you might be really good at talking and you talk to the wrong people too often and too long. But that's part of that that natural learning curve and gaining that instinct of I've got the right one here or I don't.
Right.
Or at least not for now.
Right. So if you make those 32 calls a day, 6 months from now, your call's going to be a lot better. Just with time.
Yeah. And there's so much more that can make those 32 calls that you're making better today. It's not just, and granted, we had a bit more than just a phone book. You know, there it used to be started with the phone book, right? And then we had a little leads list, but now you can really narrow down very tightly the buying persona that you're calling into, and have enough information at your fingertips to hopefully resonate versus the traditional cold call or cold email.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I'm telling you, I get so many kind of form emails from people every day trying to sell me something, and you immediately tell it's form, right? There's like, you know, Michael, you know, we do sales calls for free and operate on a so-and-so basis. Would it be okay to do a Tuesday or Thursday, you know, a form? And then every now and then I get one from someone who just did a little bit of homework and just says, Big John, I know you because your brother Dan and I saw him in Carolina, I met him or whatever, something. I've got this thing, might work for you, might not, but I'd like to have 15 minutes to tell you about it. Yes.
Yeah.
Every time. Any kind of, even if it said, I see you went to the Citadel. My Uncle Charlie went there in 1976. Is that enough to get a phone call?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, something.
Yeah. Even if he didn't have an Uncle Charlie.
And anyone has not seen on my LinkedIn page, it's got a picture of me playing basketball with Michael Jordan. Now, if that's not enough to start a conversation with, say, I saw that picture. Oh, my God. All you got to say is, tell me about that game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll talk right now. I'll fly to you for this conversation. People don't do it, though.
No.
And, you know, AI is I use an AI outbound lead gen service. It works pretty well. But it's not as good as if you did it yourself.
Yeah. No. They're getting pretty good, though. And, you know, another thing is a lot of studies will tell you that 80% of the buying is already done by the time you talk to them because of the internet and all that's available at everybody's fingertips. And so you're already late to the game, so you better start catching up.
Yeah. They already know, like you're a VP of sales at Smart Sites right now. You have software that does alarms for water, wastewater, manufacturing plants, right? Is that the right way to say it? The alarming software?
Yeah, they do the notifications.
Notifications.
From the alarms, yeah.
So if something was going wrong, if some pump had broken and water was spewing everywhere and it was Sunday afternoon and there wasn't anyone there, without your software, it could cause a major problem.
Right.
But otherwise, it's going to hit my cell phone, right? Message, alert, maybe it hits 15 people, fire department, you know, whatever they're going to, is that how it works?
Yeah, it'll notify whoever you want them to be notified based on the alarm types and the equipment.
By phone?
It'll call them on the phone. It'll send them a text message. There's an app you can use, and you get your notifications through the apps. It'll announce it over a plant floor. And so many different ways, and we say we'll get you the right information in the right way at the right time.
Yeah.
And so that you don't have to man a given facility 24 hours. You have software that's doing that, and we'll just notify you if there's a problem.
Okay. Yeah. And so I guess back to your point, if I was a potential buyer and someone said, hey, John, find me some alarming notification software, you go to ChatGPT or whatever and say who are the top 3 players, what are the differences between them, which one integrates with Oracle best, this one. Great. Call that one.
Yeah.
I
mean, and you use ChatGPT or Grok or whatever that, you know, before it was, and it still is obviously, but, you know, getting your name to pop up when they do a Google search. And now you want it to pop up when they're in ChatGPT.
How do you do that?
That's why they pay our Barbara the big bucks. She knows how to figure out all that stuff and get the right people involved.
Yeah, it's a good point, because it shouldn't be influenceable. You know, it should be just what it is. But, you know, follow the money, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Chinese wall.
I will tell you, talking about AI and ChatGPT, I got to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
So I wanted to create a list of the top 200 bottling companies in the U.S. And I wanted to have the headquarters, the company revenues, the number of manufacturing plants that they had. I think those were the three keys I think I put in there. Maybe there was a fourth, but in any case. So I asked that to ChatGPT. It came back and said, okay, I understand what you want. Do you want me to put it into an Excel format? I said, yes. And it came back and said, okay, I will, and this was first thing in the morning, so 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And he said, I will have you a first look by noon today. And so by noon today, I had gotten nothing. So I go back into it, I'm like, what's the update? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's a sample of what it might look like. And it just had the columns in the spreadsheets with like X's and O's in each column.
Yeah.
No real data. And I think, well, I wanted a company name. I don't think I mentioned that. And so, and it said, and I said, that's exactly the format I need. Great, I'll have you something at 5 o'clock today. 5 o'clock came, nothing. This is on a Thursday. I said, what's the latest? Sorry, we've got the first 10 for you. Can I share those with you to make sure that's what you want? I'm like, sure. So it showed me 10. I'm like, that looks good. Where's the rest? We'll have it for you tomorrow. So this went back and forth through the weekend. Finally on Monday afternoon at 5, I'm like, I'm done. You can't give me the answer you want. I'm going to Grok. And it came back and said, we hate to see you go. We apologize. And at one point along the way, it told me you had 50 of them. And so I went back as the last question. I said, did you ever really have 50 of these? And it said, no. I was just trying to buy more time to be able to get the project done for you. And I'm like, I'm talking to a bad employee.
Yeah, you know? Really?
It was
That's
the
amazing.
craziest.
So this was the ChatGPT bot?
Yes.
I didn't even know they would tell you we're going to get it to you later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because all my stuff must be so simple because it comes back in 3 seconds.
And then I talked with some other folks, and they said, you can't, I guess you can't give it today, you can't give it too many parameters or whatever. And I think it struggled with trying to find private data versus public company data and whatever. So,
well, it's a wonderful tool.
Oh, it is.
And I mean, think about this, Michael. Think how when we first started using computers, I'm sure you were in high school, but like the Apple IIe and the IBM PC it was so basic, and it was pretty good. It was pretty fun to use it for stock simulation or a spreadsheet. Remember Lotus, the spreadsheet? Compared to how cool it is, AI is so cool right now. I mean, it's like 10 times cooler than a computer ever was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So where's it going to go? It's going to be amazing.
And you need to embrace it.
Yeah.
Totally embrace it and
we have
figure
no
it out.
choice.
Yeah. And
we could be Amish.
And you're always learning. You just talk with other people about, I never even thought about using it for that.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then all of it gets in your head and you forget half of it, and you got to go back and figure out what it was that you should have been doing that you hadn't done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been certainly helpful for us in a lot of ways in terms of composing, first drafts of emails or first drafts of job descriptions if you're hiring someone, first drafts of presentations or summaries of meetings. If you take all the notes and dump it in there, it'll kick out a summary for you.
Yeah, and people I'll say, what do you use it for? I'm like a first draft of a PowerPoint or something or an article or something. They'll say, well, isn't that cheating? I'm like, I've always done it that way. I've just gotten people to do it, Like, Camille, give me a first draft of a thing, make it look like this, make it green and yellow, and get it to me tomorrow, and we'll fix it from there, right?
Yeah.
This is just no Camille. Camille was the best. She was the best. So, okay. So you have a career that spans, I want to say 30 years in managing sales teams all around the world.
Being in sales and managing, yeah.
And what's the biggest team you've managed?
At one time was those 40 folks at DataStream, but in terms of the overall organization,
yeah.
Well, Lane Monson left N4, and I ran that whole inside sales organization for them.
And that was 200?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You're a Jim. Some of these people might not know that you wrote a book, The Selling Machine.
3 of us wrote the book. Mike Cannon, Lanny Wingard, myself. Yep, that was fun. Had a good time with that one.
I remember when y'all did that. You know why I remember it?
Why?
Because you didn't tell me about it. I was working with them every
forgot about
day.
that.
They wrote this, I guess after work.
No, we took weekends and went up to Hiawassee.
Did you really?
Yeah, Georgia.
What fun, though.
Well, I forgot about that, and so I got in trouble by you, and I got in trouble by Devin because I didn't mention her in the credits.
Oh, no. Oh,
And
no.
that should have been the first one I mentioned.
Yeah, you should have. You should have. You get in trouble with me. I'm glad you wrote the book. It was a good book. It was a good book. It really is a good book. You can still buy it on Amazon?
Apparently, I've got a box. Cannon was the warehousing all of this at his house and had the flood. I don't know if you remember that. He had a flood that came and just pretty much washed his house away.
Yeah.
And along with about 300 selling machine books, but yeah, they're out there, and it's just it's like anything. You can take it, and I like it as a desk reference, just to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it's about.
Yeah. I do think that a lot of sales organizations today skip the basics and go right to the fancy computer technology and, the fancy call tracker and Gong and all that stuff, which some of that stuff's great, but you got to have the basics first.
Yeah.
First of all, do you have the right reps?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then I think, do you have the right compensation structure? Mm-hmm. Does it match up with what the company wants?
And that's been one of my biggest challenges, because your comp structure, just that, it has to map to what the company wants.
Yeah.
And so the activities that the reps are doing, and at N4, it changed pretty quickly and in some cases dramatically. And so you had to tweak it and make sure it all worked out and made sense, because if it's too complex and a rep can't understand how they make and what they make, they'll check out. They'll go somewhere they can do that.
Yeah.
And so there's that fine line between number of changes, complexity of comp plans, getting it geared towards the activities that you want and behaviors that you want. But that's been one of my biggest challenges. I had to learn to get a lot more creative around it.
Huh. And so N4 would change it a lot just based on management changes that have a different idea. This is the way we do it, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my take on that is, and of course, we don't always get to decide, but some consistency's important in terms of keeping reps. Mm-hmm. That they understand like what they don't want to get whipsawed, and some of the best ones I've seen, IBM software actually had a really good one for a long time. They would pay someone a reasonable salary. They'd want to hire good, solid people. They had to pay them, come represent the company. And then they would pay them something like, 7% of gross profit or gross margin on the software up to a certain point. And that point was kind of the point at which the salary and the 7% together equaled like 12%. So they're getting 12% cost of sale. Mm-hmm. And then from that point forward, everything you sold was 12%. And so they were just shooting for a max of 12% cost of sale. And so every rep wanted to make that line and start selling more. But it wasn't weird. It wasn't like 3%, 8%, 22% clawback, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the minimum, the fewer components that you have and tiers just make it easier to internalize and understand.
My first comp plan with DataStream, I was the first sales guy, And Larry and I, we're great. We're best of friends, and we're completely opposite. All right, I'm kind of more of a sales guy. He's more of a really smart, PhD. So here I am with Larry. There's 4 people in the company. He's about to hire me to be a inside sales guy. He brings me a comp plan. Now, keep in mind, I'm loading tires at Michelin at this point for $10 an hour. It brings me a comp plan. It's 4 pages long. It's got like parentheses and all the. I don't even know what it's like calculus or something. And I was like, holy cow! And I said, Larry, so let me see if I can shortcut this a little bit. And he said, all right, what? I said, well, how much are you selling now? He goes, well, it depends. I'm like, no. On average, just give me a number. He said, $35,000 a month. I said, okay. Just, I'm making $10 an hour now. So just pay me $10 an hour and 5% for anything over 35. And as soon as you want to sit down, maybe at the end of the year, look at next year. And he goes, okay, that's fair enough. And that's a practical way to do it.
Yeah. You want to keep them simple and reasonable.
Yeah.
Meaning, if the goals are set and they are unattainable in their heads, then you might as well not have the goal.
Yeah.
Or you got the wrong person. But an interesting thing that we've run into is when you have younger in career reps and you're also growing a business. Well, I had 4 reps last year. I now have 8. Guess what? Territories are in half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your number didn't change very much in terms of quota. And so in some cases, they view that as sort of a double whammy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's sort of the nature of it. Business grows, hire more people, keep growing. And so you have to manage that back down the chain in terms of not putting all the burden on those folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you 2 ways to deal with that, and you probably have to use both of them. But one way is a true accounting of how it normally happens. A company grows, as you can say, well, DataStream, when they had 2 reps, they were doing $70,000 a month, and each person had half the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had 100 reps, and they're doing $100 million a year. And there's 100 little pockets of whatever. So if cutting the territory is going to hurt you, how does that happen? Typically with the tighter territory, every nook and cranny, and easier to do reference sales. I mean, there's all kind of reasons why it works.
Yeah, and to some degree, you have too much territory because you're not covering it all.
Right.
I mean,
you're just hoping for a good call in.
That's right. A cherry pick here or there.
Well, there's a big difference between like waiting for the leads to come in and actually actively managing a territory. Mm-hmm. Who are my big accounts? Who are my secondary accounts? Who are my customers?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, sales guys don't get enough credit for that, and being able to be business managers, because that's what you have to do. You've got to manage that territory and figure out what are my real opportunities this year.
Yeah.
And you understand the accounts well enough to know, well, you know what? That particular industry is in the gutter this year. I've got to go make hay over here in the food and beverage because they're having a great year or whatever. And who are my key ones and who can I reference? And I don't think sales folks get enough credit for being as smart as they are.
Yeah, I mean, the good ones that last, I might have told you before, but, heck, I complained about my comp plan for years, and that's just normal. Salespeople want more, right, and want to be easier. And I met these salespeople from Pfizer, and we were out goofing around or something, and I met them in a bar or something, and I was really pissed about my comp plan at the time. They're like, what do you guys do? They change your comp plan. And I said, they change our comp plan every year. I'm like, why do they do that? He goes, well, new VP comes in, whatever. They always change it. I said, well, how do you feel about it? He goes, well, it's just part of the job. This is just part of it, I mean, they change it, and we try to find a way to make as much money as we can. And if it ever becomes like undoable, then we probably go over and work at, Johnson & Johnson or something. But, that's just, you got to accept it as part of the deal.
Yeah, and I also think good managers help folks figure that out too, especially ones that are early in career.
Right. Well, let's talk about smart sites a little bit more. The notification / alarming company based out in Austin. You're based here. Your salespeople are kind of all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Because you want them close to their customers, their distributors.
Yeah. Well, we just in COVID, we didn't have an office,
Right.
a headquarters office, so to speak, and we needed to have people in territory, and if you want to hire really good people, don't be just limited to Austin, where headquarters is, so expand out. And so I was fortunate to be one of those folks that they hired remotely. And then we acquired a company outside of Boston, and so they were there, and they weren't moving to Austin, and so we had an example of we already have folks away. And
That's John Oskin, right?
no, that was SciTech, which is now XL Reporter.
Oh, okay.
John's out of Chicago.
Okay.
John's company was Sage Clarity, and so we have people scattered about, but we also have systems in place where we can monitor pipeline build, forecasting, et cetera, and we're getting better at tracking those daily activities that not only I want to know about, but they want to know about.
Yeah.
And what am I doing, so that they can understand, and then we were able to post that in there so every rep can see their activity against the others right within Salesforce, our CRM, and so they can quickly see that. And
Do you ever send that out like as a link? Hey, look at this top leaderboard or whatever.
well, we'll talk about it sometimes in our sales meetings, but it's all right there in front and center on the homepage. Everybody, you have to not look at it to not see it.
We've both seen the impact of a report like that. In our case, it was a whiteboard,
Linda,
and it had everyone's name on it, and how much they sold that month. And Linda would update it once a day,
yeah,
and everyone would be watching.
yeah.
And you did not want to be at the bottom.
To go back to your fraternity analogy.
Yeah, you got razzed pretty good. So nobody wanted to be at the bottom, and some people quit.
Yeah.
Just but that's
But it was more of a motivator than a deterrent. For sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
But people always say when you ask them what they want, they say they want more money, and what they won't say is what they really want, which is recognition.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, and because it doesn't cost much to recognize people, right?
No.
And it makes you feel good.
Absolutely. Okay, a couple more questions, sir. What would you say your biggest sales lesson is so far in your career?
Yeah, you mentioned it, having the right people. I think that's the biggest sales lesson in terms of being a manager.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily technique on a deal, right? But just having the right people.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? It's good for you to have the right people. It's also good for them. If you got the wrong person in there, which I've made that mistake many times, someone I really like, and I put them in the wrong role, and they just typically they're reluctant to make the call, ask for the order, because it's just not in their nature to do that. They're good at something else.
But they have some of the other traits, like they're tenacious, they're competitive, they don't want to let you down, and so they give it their best go.
But it's against their grain.
Right.
Hurts them.
Yeah.
So get the right people. And we can show you how to do that at sterlingsales. And then what about leadership? What's your number one leadership lesson?
I don't have all the answers. and therefore there's something I can always learn. And I just have seen a number of folks that come in there that would be one of my leaders that, you know, you can't say something they didn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're wrong. So I just think, and if I take that approach with my team, then when I don't know the answer, but I go and find it and come back, you build some credibility and loyalty there. And I think I can just relate better with the folks.
Okay. Okay. And I think there's something you want to promote today, right?
Not that I want to promote, but, you know, sales for noobs. We talked about being a noob. What was the example a while ago? And I said you were a noob at it.
I forgot.
We have to edit that out. So we talk about being noobs in sales,
Yeah.
but throughout life, there are things that you try and you want to get good at that you're a noob at. And so two folks that we worked with that I've seen start to try to do some different things in their lives and challenge themselves, and one is Tommy Pacewick, and he makes leather goods. So he was a noob. He may say today he's still a noob at it, but I had him make me an ammo pouch for bird hunting. And then also Michael Elliott has gotten into woodworking and challenged himself with that, and even can do inlay woodworking. But I think the point was, well, number one, I'm proud of these guys and appreciate what they did, but you're always a noob if you try different things and new things.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think it's you know, I've been a noob many times in my life, learning music and writing a book and starting some businesses. And recently I did a comic book. And so, why do you write a comic book, John? I'm like, who knows? You know, maybe it'll give me the confidence to try something else that's really prosperous. Or maybe I'll learn something writing the comic book that helps me in another venture. And, you know, Steve Jobs, I got that from reading his book or books about him, that when he was in college, you know, briefly, he would study things like, you know, the art of writing and how to design certain different fonts. And so that's where that really strange cursive Apple thing came from, was something he learned in a class as a sophomore, you know, before he dropped out. So you never know.
right, yeah,
So I encourage people, too, to try things.
yeah. I was impressed with what they had done. So
Why had Michael given me anything?
I asked him. I commissioned him to make one.
Did you?
Yeah, and had him make one for the new Wofford athletic director.
Oh, that's nice.
And so he made one, and I took it to him, and then he surprised me with
Oh, that's
my
cool.
own, so.
I have commissioned him. We haven't agreed to a price. I'm sure it'll be, you know, reasonable. But I wanted a really big cutting board, you know, kind of oddly shaped, cool wood, you know, something that'll be a little different. And so he's working on that.
Doing that?
Yeah.
You told me that I would have given you a nice piece of a 90-foot oak tree that fell over in our house.
You still have it?
I've got a piece, but only one that we'd save to make one for Devin.
Okay. Well, I think, you know, one thing I didn't mention about Smart Sites is I was there when Greg Jackson went to work and took it over, you know, years ago, and they had one salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And now with him and with the work you're doing, I think you're up to how many?
We have 13 quota carrying sales reps, and then some support folks and lead gen folks on top of that. It's been fun. We've learned a lot. We've also acquired 2 companies since then.
And you basically acquired them to give more products for your people to sell, right?
Right.
Through your
correct.
channel.
Yeah. That's correct. So we're not just now the alarm notification company. We're not just now the reporting analytics company.
Yeah.
We take those products and we take the most recent ones from Sage Clarity with Able, Peer, and OneView, and now we can really provide a comprehensive industrial automation platform that integrates with their existing SCADA systems or MES, manufacturing execution systems, to help them get more out of the investments they've already made.
Well, I'll add here at the end, ask you the question about your kind of leadership lesson, and you said, don't have all the answers, but I would say, that one of the keys to your success is just consistency. You're just a remarkably consistent person. You can always count on you to do the job, to be there on time and deal with people the same way, And then in terms of your career, you haven't hopped around. You hadn't done this and that and started a yogurt shop and, and all this crazy stuff. You're like, you've learned the trade of managing people that sell technical software. And it really doesn't matter. You can do it here, you can do it there, and typically you stay somewhere as long as you like, you good at long runs.
Well, software just happens to be the playing field or the medium, but I really wanted to be a coach, and that's why I did that. Wofford, and I just found as I stayed in it longer that I had the opportunity to coach people.
Yeah,
I certainly, obviously, didn't right out of the gate. I was being coached.
Yeah,
but I began to be able to coach people, and so that's when all the other stuff is going on, that's the main thing.
you're still a coach.
Yeah.
That's it. I figured you out. So when you retire, you going to be a coach again? A real coach?
I've thought about that,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I had actually planned to do some more things at the local high school where my kids went, but I got this opportunity, and it just takes more of the time than I have to dedicate to the other. So.
Yeah. Well, the lots of players out there appreciate you, and I do too. You're doing a great job, and we'll follow your coaching career.
Well, I'm just looking for any kind of NIL deals I can get.
Well, clearly all the fizzy water you can drink.
There you go. Appreciate that.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay.